Hello everybody, it is the 29th of December 2024 and I thought I would sit down and do a little reminisce and a little catch up on this last year of travelling. My adventures for this year, last year I went home for Christmas and celebrated New Year with my friend Sarah. Hi Sarah, if you're watching. After the new year, I packed up my bits and pieces. I flew out of Heathrow, 12.5-hour flight to Hong Kong. Met Sam there, and 4 days, the food, the atmosphere, the island, the people, loved it. We did the Peak Tram and the views over the city were amazing. Went to the Big Buddha. I think we went on a train to get there. We did 3 forms of transport anyway. So we went there on the train. I then did the cable car and we came back on the bus and then the ferry. It was a magical day. I'll link the video here somewhere. It was, excuse me, it was a really good day. After that, on the 8th of January, I flew to Manila in the Philippines. Now, this has been right there at the top of my bucket list for years to go to the Philippines. I got to Manila and it was crazy. The traffic was literally, I could have walked quicker, but what an experience. My hostel was great. I stayed at, where was it? The Crossroads Hostel in Manila. Yeah, loud, noisy, wouldn't have missed it for the world. So a couple of days there. Then I was flying to the island of Palawan. Now, when I booked my flights, we were in the middle of a thunderstorm and we kept getting power cuts, power outages. So as I was about to pay, I went to hit book, power went out, lost connection, but then it flicks back on again. So I checked all the details. Yes, it seemed all right. The price was the same. The time of the flight was the same. I went to the airport and realised that when the power outage had gone, the settings had kept everything the same, but had defaulted the date forward 3 months. So I was at the right airport at the right time for the right flight, just the wrong month. Unbelievable. So I ended up having to buy a new flight, which made the pennies were quite tight for the rest of that month. I got so upset. I ended up having to buy a new flight. I then got confused with the changing of the currency because I still had my phone currency converter set to Hong Kong dollars. Watch the video. You'll laugh. I can laugh now, but at the time I wasn't. So then I actually managed to get to Palawan Island. Puerto Princesa I flew into. So beautiful, especially after Manila with all the traffic and everything. This was lovely. Did quite a lot there actually. I went to go and see a subterranean river, which was wow. The whole trip there to the Philippines was gorgeous. The water was so blue, the beaches. After that, I took a bus up to Port Barton, and I don't know, I'm trying to think. I think that was probably my favourite, but to be honest, each place I go to, I'm like, I've got a new favourite. I've got a new favourite. So in Port Barton, I actually got really sunburned. I went out on a day trip on a boat. Now, I'd just come from England. I'd been in Hong Kong. And I go out in the Philippines on a boat all day, got back. You can imagine, I was a lobster, head to toe. The next day I could barely do anything because I was so uncomfortable with my sunburn, and that lasted a good while. So where did I go after Port Barton? I went up to El Nido, and yeah, by this stage my money was like rice and beans type money that I was living on, and I literally went to the like the local shops and bought local food. There were so many other things I wanted to do there, but because things were a little tight, we scaled everything back. So, oh, and that's where I met Natalie, the lovely Natalie. You'll see her in upcoming videos as well. We met on the last day that I was there and ended up coming back from the beach together. We went for something to eat later on, exchanged numbers, and have stayed in contact. And I believe right now she's in Malaysia, I think. So yeah, hi Natalie. Yeah, so we did that. After that, I went up to Coron. I then sorted my financial situation out and I enrolled on a Wrecks and Reef tour. And that was the one that Natalie actually recommended to me, and it was amazing. I met the best people on that tour. We had such a good time. So from Coron, you can either go back to Manila by a 12-hour ferry boat, which only runs once a week. I think it's on a Sunday, but you'd have to check on 12 Go Asia. Luckily, my calendar aligned to that, and I did that. Otherwise, it would have been a flight back. But I got the worst food poisoning ever, and considering I was then going on a boat for 12 hours, let's say it was a memorable trip. Yeah, you can imagine. After that, 31st of January, I found myself in Borneo, which was then my third country since leaving. So in 4 weeks, I'd done 3 countries. I was exhausted. So anyway, I went to KK and stayed in a hostel called Homey Seafront Hostel. And I ended up actually staying there on and off for, oh gosh, I would say at least 5 weeks there. I did some short trips. I went to Sandakan and Sepilok to go and see the orangutans and the sun bears as well. Oh, what an experience. How lucky am I? And I say this all the time, but honestly, so lucky. I went to Mari Mari village. I did the floating mosque, and I did an island hopping tour as well. Also, while I was at that hostel, I did my final TEFL teaching exam. I was teaching back in England, oh, years ago at a college, but I'd never got the qualification because we actually moved to the United States. So I missed out on getting that qualification. So this was the time that I sat down in the hostel. During the day, everyone was off out doing things, and I sat down and I got that piece of paper that I needed. So super proud of myself. I think I passed with like 93, almost 94%, which I think is the highest grade I've ever got for anything in my life. Go me, go me. After that, now we're heading to March. So I then, from talking to people from my hostel, I decided to go to Tawa. I'll put the name in here, and then take a ferry over to Tarakan in Indonesia. And I wanted to make my way to a little tropical island to go diving. Let's just say none of that happened. It was a disaster. I arrived at in Indonesia, and the guy who sold me my ticket, I said, I'm just going to go and get some cash out. He said, no, you can do it when you get there. They take card. Don't worry about it. No, they didn't take card. They didn't like tourists. He made me pay over double the amount of money to get into the country. Oh my word, the hotel I stayed in, the door didn't lock. It was full of mold, and I was breathing that in all night. I was run down and tired from traveling so fast. Thankfully, my friend Sam, who I was in Hong Kong with, saved me. I barely had any cell service because I hadn't managed to get a new SIM card. So with the really sketchy Wi-Fi from the hostel, I contacted Sam and just went, help, get me out of here. I explained to her where I was. The next day she booked me a first class flight, which cost me about £60, which, okay, it's not a huge amount, but money that I didn't want to spend. So I ended up, after staying one night in this place with mold and a door that didn't lock in a right sketchy area, I flew straight to Jakarta and I booked into a hotel where I stayed for 3 nights trying to recover. I was extremely poorly. From there, I think on the 9th of March, I flew to Kuala Lumpur to finish off getting better. I stayed there for 5 nights. It was amazing. I love Kuala Lumpur. It was the first place I landed when I started this journey back in November 22. That was my first stop off on my way to New Zealand. I had a 13-hour stop off. I just love it. I can't explain why, but I love KL. From there, back to Langkawi to spend some time. I heard that Sinead was there, so I then went there and spent 5 weeks in one place as a detox, as a calm down girl. This is not a race. That was wonderful. I set up my teaching online. I'd done it before, but I did it officially this time. And also just creating more content and all the video footage that I hadn't managed to get done. I really knuckled down and started doing that. From that, I flew back to Georgetown and Penang. We saw the street art. I did Penang Hill again because I loved that last time. And I did the Habitat this time because I didn't do it last time. And then 25th of April, I flew back to Vietnam. I flew to Da Nang because last year I messed up my visa. I mess up a lot, don't I? So I only did Hanoi last year. So this year I wanted to do the rest of Vietnam and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I flew into Da Nang and I stayed there 2.5 weeks and actually met a lady in Luck Hostel that I was with in Borneo. Randomly, we were there in the same room again. It was lovely to see her anyway. So Claudia, if you're watching, hi. From there, I stayed there a while. So I did Banan Hills. I went to Hoi An. I had some clothes made. I did Marble Mountains, which if you're ever there in Da Nang, do the Marble Mountains. It was brilliant, but it was April. It was hot season. It got up to 46 degrees. I then, because Claudia recommended it, I stopped off at Quai Noi. Most beautiful beaches, stunning, not very busy, friendly locals. I stayed in a brilliant motel. I will put, or homestay, I'll put the name here, I can't remember it. Then I went to Nha Trang and did a motorbike tour with Monkey Boy. From there, it was to Dalat, and it was so much cooler, about 12 degrees cooler in Dalat. And I met back up with Natalie, who I obviously met in the Philippines earlier in the year, and I needed a friendly face. It was lovely to see her, and we had some brilliant times. We went to the Crazy House, we did waterfalls, we went to a maze bar. I was so sorry to say goodbye to her, and hopefully next year we'll meet up again. From that, Ho Chi Minh City, that was great as well. I did the Chi Chi tunnels, got me bum stuck in there. Don't ask, you'll have to check it out. It was so embarrassing. I got stuck, they had to lift me out. After that, June, I flew back to Thailand. The emigration that stamp your passport, they're like, why are you here? You need a retirement visa. I'm like, I haven't been here in 10 months. Oh, you get 30 days, then you have to leave. And if you come back, you need a retirement visa. It was a little stressful. And I hadn't even been in the country for over 10 months. I've been back home and traveling. So I didn't understand, but maybe she just had a bad day. Don't know. So I spent some time in Bangkok with Sinead again. Then I left her in Bangkok and went up to Chiang Mai to catch back up with Tony and Kendall from the Narrowgate channel. I had my tooth removed, but actually I'm glad I did because it's much better and I need the other one doing, so I might head back at some stage. And then back to Bangkok, and I stayed in Sukhumvit with Sinead until we crossed over into Cambodia. And I had no preconceived ideas of Cambodia. I'd heard that some people on the travelling route really liked it, some people weren't so keen. I just turned up with an open mind. I had a bumpy start because when I got here, the hostel I booked had closed down 2 nights beforehand, so I had to do a quick find somewhere to stay. But literally within the week, I'd fallen in love with the place, and we went down. Sinead and I renewed our visas. I mean, in the time that I was here, I went to Battambang, and I did the bamboo train. I had my birthday. I had my birthday. I went to the circus. Yeah, it was an amazing time. Just before I left, I did a quick flit down to Phnom Penh and did Prison 21 and the Killing Fields, but I didn't have time to do anything else. I will go back to Phnom Penh and do some of the really nice things and do a river cruise, and I'll bring you with me. Then I went back to KL and on to Malacca for 3 weeks. Malacca was great, never been before. I stayed, where did I stay? Traveller's Diary. That was wonderful. But I miss Cambodia. So I turned tail and come back. I managed to get myself a 6-month visa, and this is where you find me now, absolutely loving life, loving my new Khmer friends. Yeah, I found somewhere that I can sit back and take things a little slower. I'm learning the language and I am just enjoying this beautiful country. I really am. There's so much more to see and do. I did do a quick trip to Kampot, Kep, Koron and Koron Salom. I did a 13-day trip. That was my latest one and it was amazing. And now I'm Christmas and New Year here back in my home in Siem Reap, and this is probably going to be a way long video, but I wanted to just sit and think and reminisce about all the wonderful things that I have done this year, and I know I'm blessed. And I want to thank you as well for following me and the lovely comments, the buy me a coffees. Thank you, thank you, thank you, because I do love my coffee. Super thanks that I've had through my YouTube channel. Thank you, thank you. Now, what has 2025 got for Nan with a Backpack? Coming up in February, my parents are coming out for a visit. They're doing Vietnam and through to Siem Reap. So they will be here for a few days on their trip around. Sam is coming back out. Hopefully she's coming for a visit. Maybe Natalie. So many things to look forward to. 2025, where else am I going to travel? I will be doing a trip back to the UK to see my children and my grandchildren. Got so many places on my list. Some of my dream destinations, and I'm not saying that they're going to come off, but I would like to include Sri Lanka, Nepal and India. India is calling me and it has been for a long time now. So that's what's in my head. There are no plans. I'm just going with the flow. Again, thank you very much for watching. I love you all. If you'd like to buy me a coffee or a super thanks, that is greatly appreciated. Happy New Year to you all, and I will see you in 2025. Bye.